In the past 10 years, two teams have dominated SEC football. 6 SEC championship appearances, 5 SEC trophies. Total SEC domination. If you watched a national championship game recently, you got a whole lot of football from the state of Alabama shoved down your throat. 5 years, 5 national championship appearances, 4 Crystal trophies. Total NCAA domination. You would think with so much success in one state there would be unity, harmony, a celebration of excellence and success. You would be wrong. This is Alabama, and in this state you pick a side, and you hate the other side until death do you part. Two men rise above the hate, challenge the norm, and risk their lives to come together and keep you updated on Alabama and Auburn football. These men are legends. One is the ultimate Barner. The other is a lifelong Bammer. This is the Tigers and Tide podcast. All the latest news from Auburn, Alabama, and the SEC. Here are your hosts, Brett Mason and Jamie Thomas.
Here we go with the big opening weekend for college football edition of the Tigers and Tide podcast. Brett Mason in with my partner and delusional Alabama fan, Jamie Thomas.
Roll Tide, man. I can't believe it's finally time for some college football.
War Eagle for all my Auburn fans out there. It seems like forever. It's just like every week it got closer, but finally we'll get to see some football. I couldn't be more excited.
It drives me crazy that we have to wait as long as we did for college football when we have to suffer through the NBA and, you know, the 162 Major League Baseball games. Don't get me wrong, I love Major League Baseball. Oh, man, I'm so tired of baseball, American football.
Last weekend I wanted to watch football so bad. Last weekend I watched whatever was on. It was like Sam Houston Academy and Jim Bob's Bar and Grill's team or something was playing.
Yeah, I tell you what, it was kind of exciting watching Eastern Washington run the score up on Sam Houston there at the end of the game. You know, they had a chance to show a little bit of sportsmanship and decided to drive it in one more time for another touchdown.
I liked it. But hey, real quick, let me say what a milestone we hit this week. One of our posts this week was viewed by over 20,000 people, man.
Wow. Are you kidding me?
20,000 people. It was a story about this Jack Legg from Yahoo Sports that said Alabama was going to have the worst season they had in 5 years or something.
What did he be, 9-3? I mean,
well, one of the commenters, and people are really starting to comment on it now, and I love reading the comments, but that's what one of the commenters said. It was like, well, when you win 3 national championships and you have 11-win seasons, you know, you can have a 10-win season and it still be a drop-off. So it ain't like this is shocking news. I mean, you know.
He used to work for ESPN, and, I mean, some of the stuff he would write on and some of the things he would say just didn't make a whole lot of sense. He's, I guess, one of the drama queens of college football.
You know, you got to have somebody get in there and stir it up. Either way, it was good for our website because 20,000 people looked at it, so go us.
Absolutely. Hey, we'll take that win any day.
All right, so hang around because we have several things to talk about on the podcast. One of them will be we'll run down the Alabama-West Virginia game. We're going to run down everything about that. We'll talk about the Auburn-Arkansas game. We will also have our betting picks in case you want to try to make you some money. We will both have our picks for that as well. And we'll talk about a couple of other things. Right now, we'll jump into the situation that's going on with player suspensions. We had the announcement come out yesterday about DePriest. What you know about that?
I mean, they're not typical Alabama media. They're not saying a whole lot about what happened. Just a minor NCAA violation. Whether he took an extra piece of cheese on his hamburger or didn't quite make a high enough grade on the test, or who knows? I mean, it could have been too many sprinkles on a cupcake or something, the way the NCAA is going lately. But
well,
not a lot of word about what happened, and they won't comment on what happened. But that's a huge loss for Alabama and the linebacker corps Saturday.
Well, not only that, but I mean, as I understand it, I mean, he's the guy. He's the guy making sure everybody's lined up right, on the right call.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the leader back there, right?
He is the general of the defense. He is the one with the most experience. He's a playmaker. I mean, it's going to be a big loss, a very big loss. We're fortunate that it's only 1 game suspension, according to Saban, but with so many questions about how our offense is going to perform, the defense is going to have to be at the top of their game Saturday.
I mean, the good news is that it happened against West Virginia.
I guess. I'm telling you, y'all aren't giving West Virginia enough credit. They can put some points on the board.
All right, let's kick things off with the Alabama game. Since you kind of alluded to that early in the podcast, I don't think there's going to be anything to the Alabama-West Virginia game, mainly because of the West Virginia defense. But what's your thoughts? How you think it's going to play out? What you got a score prediction? What's the rundown on the Alabama game?
I don't like to predict the scores for Alabama games. I've been burned on that in the past. Like most college football fans, I'm very superstitious when it comes to those things. It's a big deal to me. I don't ever bet on Bama. Don't ever bet take the points for Bama. I don't like doing that. This game, and I know you keep telling me that there's nothing to worry about. This game bothers me. It really does. We have a lot of uncertainties on the offensive side of the football. The offensive line's not playing well. The quarterback situation. Doesn't matter how good either one of your quarterbacks are, when they both go into the game not knowing if they're the starter or not, there's always going to be some problems. We've seen it with the best offenses that there ever was. Steve Spurrier had a quarterback problem, and until he named the starting quarterback, both of those quarterbacks were mediocre at best.
Well, let me ask you this, because we posted the two deeps came out. We posted both of them for Auburn and Alabama earlier in the week up on the blog. So if you haven't seen them or on the Facebook page, check them out. But now, if I'm not mistaken, Sims is listed as the number one, no?
Well, the depth chart officially reads, and Saban will tell you that or means or. The depth chart is listed as Blake Sims or Jacob Coker.
Okay.
So he has not officially named the starter. He said it again this week in another one of his press conferences that both quarterbacks were going to play, and they did not have a starter at this time.
So besides the quarterback situation, I just think that Alabama's capable of doing a lot of things that don't require the quarterback to be a genius.
That's true.
I just don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, especially when you're up against, West Virginia. Sure, he's going to try to. He's got his high-flying offense that gets touted, but he just doesn't have the quality of talent that Alabama has as his problem. So
that's true. But the Bama offensive line has been struggling this year. They haven't quite come together. They're not gelling just yet. Saban has not been happy with the way they've been coming off the football. Now, a lot says they're going up every day against one of the best defenses in the country, but still. This is not a junior college team they're playing. These are grown boys, that play football for West Virginia. They're fast. They are talented. They're playing Division I football. I just don't think it's going to be. Do I think Alabama's going to win? Absolutely. I believe Alabama's going to win the football game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than everybody wants to give West Virginia credit for. With the offensive line, the quarterback, I understand we've got three stud running backs that can just absolutely control the football game. But a lot of that relies on the offensive line. If the offensive line's not opening up holes, those running backs aren't going to get those yards. Of course, the other wild card, Lane Kiffin. We don't know what kind of leash that Saban is going to have on him yet, how fancy he's going to get with the play calling. I expect it to be, semi-conservative with him opening it up a little bit from time to time. But you just never know. They've had those moments before when they've kind of lost focus on the game and did some stupid things, and it cost them a win. So it's, it's West Virginia. Yeah, they only won 5 games last year, 5 or 6 the year before. But they're going to give Bama some fits.
Well, if I understand what you're saying right, is you believe Bama's going to win, but somebody that might wanted to make some money and wasn't superstitious could take the line with West Virginia. It's 26, I believe, is the line, which is pretty.
I would take that every day if I was betting against betting on the Bama game.
It's it's actually higher than not much, but it's a little bit higher than the Auburn line, which has been high, but it's started falling now. Auburn started out at a 21.5. I think they're down to 18.5 now, but still, those are some big points, especially when you're especially in the SEC game. But I agree with you. West Virginia's, especially that guy that runs that offense, is a genius. The head coach is supposed to be a genius, but still, they're just, when you run up against an SEC team, you're just playing something like you don't normally play. So
that's true.
I take all that with a grain of salt. Anyway. You think we're going to see it break away late? You think there's a possibility of that happening? Because that's the way I see it. First quarter conservative. By the time you get into the third quarter, I think it's going to break away.
Yeah, I can see a 2-touchdown win by Bama. I think, going to be close going into the halftime, maybe a field goal, or might even be tied. Who knows? Really, in all honesty, it wouldn't surprise me if Bama was down going in at halftime. And they'll adjust. They'll come out in the second half, and they'll start to take the advantage in the third quarter. And then by the fourth quarter, you might see a 14 or 17-point swing. But I don't think there's any way they get 26 up on West Virginia.
Well, I'm not like you. I have no problems predicting points and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to dive into the Auburn game and do all that stuff, if that's all right, because I don't have no.
That's fine with you. I've got a score prediction for the Auburn game, too, when you're ready.
Well, my prediction is going to blow you away. Let's talk about the game a little bit. Here's things we don't know that are iffy, which may not be as iffy as they're trying to make them to be. But Marshall's not starting. He's still serving his penalty out for riding around with the weed. But I think the very worst thing that happens is he comes out starting the second half. But I think that's going to depend on how well the game is going. I mean, I think if the game goes into the gutter quick, you're going to see Marshall right out there. Could be the second series. I don't know. But he's playing. They're trying to make that out like it's a big deal, but I just don't think it's a big deal. I could be wrong.
I think it's, Gus is going to play that however he needs to. If Auburn comes out, handles business like I think they will, I think Marshall may sit the whole game, and then Malzahn can say, okay, we made a statement. We started, we set our potential Heisman quarterback winner, the entire game against Arkansas. But what I don't expect to happen is Arkansas really make a game out of it. I don't expect Johnson to struggle that much. In fact, I think, in the long run, he's probably going to be a better quarterback than Nick Marshall.
I think he'll definitely be a more well-rounded quarterback, no doubt. Yeah.
Absolutely. He's got a better arm. But that's I don't see Auburn struggling with Arkansas, and I think that Marshall may not even see a series this Saturday.
Well, the only reason I think that he might not is if the game's well in hand, which hopefully it should be. It's not like he's going to miss out on any reps because our next 3 games are all gimme games, so he'll have plenty of time to get easy reps. Now, if we had a tough game coming up next week, he would play. I don't know how much he would play, but he would definitely play. Of course, we got, Mincy's out, our cornerback is out. I don't know what's going to happen with that. That's a little bit of a concern. And then we got the Threezy thing. I don't feel as bad about Threezy. I mean, if you look at it, that's kind of something that Auburn and Alabama have in common this week. Our, big guys on defense that are kind of the team leaders and captains are out. I think we're going to be all right with Garrett. And before he got injured, he looked like he was going to be great. And all reports are that he's in the practices and scrimmages, he was great. So I think we're going to be fine. And I think the changes on the O-line were going to be fine, which leads to what I think is going to be an embarrassing, humiliating blowout for Arkansas. That's just my personal opinion. I think we're going to establish the running game. Arkansas just doesn't have a defense. I mean, they gave up 475 yards a game all last season against SEC teams.
You want my score for this game?
Yeah, what do you think the score's going to be?
55-13 Auburn.
Wow, you got it bigger than I got it. And I'm the Auburn fan. I got it 42-21 is what I got.
42-21. I don't think Arkansas can score 21 points. I know they've got a pretty good running back. Don't really like their quarterback too much. I think they've got one decent option at receivers. I know Auburn's got some questions on the defensive side of the football, but I just don't think they can put up that many points against Auburn.
I think they can, and I mean, quarterback, he looked terrible last year, but he played injured all year last year. Yeah. And supposedly he's healthy this year. They have the ability to put up some points. Knowing that I know Auburn, when you're an Auburn fan and you know that we've had defensive issues for the last 6 years in a row, that makes me believe anybody can put up points until I see otherwise, which I hope I do.
Here's the wild card in this game is 80% chance of rain on Saturday. So, I mean, who is that going to affect most? Is that going to affect Arkansas, or is that going to slow down Auburn?
Well, I mean, I think it would help Auburn because Auburn isn't so reliant on passing, and I don't see Arkansas doing anything if they can't get that passing game going because they don't have an amazing offensive line. They got decent running backs, but they don't have an amazing line. And I think they're going to be much more dependent on the passing game to put up points. And I think Auburn's going to be a different team this year, but I still think we're going to be so run-heavy that Gus will be happy to just run it. Of course, everybody's untested. Artis Payne is untested. He ran some last year, but when it's put on his shoulders, we'll have to see how he responds. That still remains to be seen. All right, so that brings us to the points where we get our picks in and try to tell folks how to make money. I would not tell you anything that I wouldn't put my hard-earned money on, but that being said, I am not a professional football gambler, so you just keep that in mind. I dug deep, and I try to look for value, and I read a lot of blogs, and I read a lot of analysis, so a lot of this comes from stuff that I pick up from other people, and sometimes it's weird. It's like, it won't be SEC bets usually, because those are the toughest to bet on, and the very first week out of the gate's a pretty good example, but I think I got some value here, and this is going to be the Colorado State-Colorado game.
Wow, okay.
Colorado State is a 3-point favorite. They're a 3-point favorite in this game going in for several reasons. They lost their star running back to the NFL last year, Capri Bibbs. He ran for 1,800 yards and 31 touchdowns, so of course they're going to miss him. I think that's part of the reason, and that's what most people are looking at. But I think what people are forgetting in this game, I was checking out their returning quarterback. Now, he comes back. Garrett Grayson is his name. He has 4,000 yards passing. This year, he could easily surpass 5,000 yards passing, which is pretty incredible. And he brings his favorite receiver back again this year, Rashard Higgins, who he averages like 16 yards a reception or something. So, I mean, you've got a powerful duo on offense. They're really comfortable doing the passing game. I think they're going to slice and dice this Colorado defense up. They lost some key players from last year. They already had a pretty sucky defense. They gave up 44 points a game last year, and they didn't. The best players they had went away, and the worst players they had came back. So I don't think that leads to good things. So when I was looking at all through the things I thought I could make money on, I was shocked Colorado State was a favorite here. So definitely taking the points, definitely taking Colorado in this game. Cha-ching, cash it in, baby.
Cash it in?
Cash it in.
All right. Well, I'm a little different than you. I like talking about the SEC football. I like putting my money on the conference. I'm going to go, my surefire this week is LSU over Wisconsin. That game started at a 6.5-point favorite for LSU, down to 5 now. I told you before, I think it's going to be a big year for LSU. They're coming off an Outback Bowl win right now. They beat the Iowa Hawkeyes. LSU has only failed to beat the line in 5 of the last 6 games. They're the number 13 team in the nation. Wisconsin's coming in at the number 14 team in the nation. But I think when you look at SEC versus Big Ten, you always see the SEC dominate. I like LSU. I don't think there's any way that Wisconsin gets within 14 points of LSU during this football game.
I like it. I'm with you. I would always see. That's why I love liking SEC teams, but it's just hard for me to get in there and bet those games because I'm always going to bet the SEC team every time. Just because
I just read an interesting note too. I may be doubting myself here now. LSU's 1-5 against the spread in the last 6 games. Wisconsin's 9-4 in the last 13.
Well,
still not going to change my pick. LSU by at least 14.
Look, you put the time into it, man. That's your play. You're going to run with it. We'll see what happens.
That's right.
If you missed those, we're going to have a picks page up on the website. I don't have it up yet, but it will be up there by the time that you are hearing this podcast. And you'll be able to find it right there on the menu tab. It'll be our picks. We'll keep a running total every week, and the loser at the end of the year will be Jamie, who will have to buy me a big honking salad or something because I don't eat steak anymore.
You can have a salad with no dressing.
Right, and some fruit juice.
And some fruit juice. I'll even squeeze the fruit juice myself for you.
Oh, no, that's a bet right there. All right, brother. Sounds good, man. Have a fantastic weekend. I enjoyed doing the podcast, and I'm looking for good things as we get kicked off as college football season is finally here. Yay, I don't have to go crazy anymore.
I'm telling you, man, this is going to be a great weekend. Roll Tide to everyone out there that's a Bama fan, and to those that aren't, roll Tide anyway.
War Eagle, everybody. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to visit the website and the Facebook page. It's Tigers and Tide. Have a good one.
Tigers and Tide is a weekly podcast covering football in the state of Alabama and the SEC. We don't claim to be football gurus or talking heads. We're fans just like you. If you like the show, please take a moment to share the link to this episode on your Facebook page. And don't forget to like our page at facebook.com/Tigers and Tide. That's facebook.com/Tigers and Tide. Have a great weekend and War Eagle. And Roll Tide.